Okay, everyone, welcome back to Veracity Trigger. This is part 2 of the interview with Kawade Yoichi. So, this is a text interview that I conducted with him, and kind of had a fun time talking to the guy. He's a pretty cool guy. And so I want to say that a lot of these questions are going to basically involve Brigandine Grand Edition, a little bit of Legend of Forsena as well. Kind of a mix of the two, really. Not a lot's going to really involve the new game. There is one question in here that does involve the new game, Legend of Runersia. That's about it. He wanted to talk about Grand Edition more so, and so we went ahead and talked about that. And so that's what you're going to go ahead and see in this interview here. So if you enjoy this kind of content, please like and subscribe. Help my channel grow. Help it grow. So we can get the content out to other Brigandine fans and all that, or people that haven't seen Brigandine before. They'll get to see this interview and get to know a little bit more about the developer and all that, the director. So, the translator is Harshita Katiyar. Thank you so much for doing this for me and for us. It helps a lot, really. I went through trying to translate some of this myself, and Google can go all over the place as far as translation is concerned. Just a little note. I tried to translate monk from Japanese and English, and it turned it into concrete or cement or something like that. I'm like, wait, that's not what I'm talking about. But anyways, definitely go ahead and enjoy this video here. I have a little extra bonus content at the end of the video, and so definitely stay tuned for that. There'll be a little more to it than meets the eye. So yeah, that's all I really got to say for this. So thanks so much, Kawade Yoichi, for having a conversation with me, and thanks so much for trying to bring the world something amazing that a lot of people have really loved throughout the years, especially myself, because this has been my favorite game since I was, a teenager. So now I'm a grown man. So it's really something to be able to do this. So thanks everybody for being here. Continue to watch this, and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Okay, question number 12. Leoness being mystic, Kai being the wise king, Drist being the strongest. Why are they the underdogs?
Question 12. Okay, so question 12 don't have an answer. The question 12 says, Leonie is a mystic, Kai is a wise king, Drist is the strongest. Why are they underdogs? So this question 12 doesn't have the answer.
But I guess that kind of answers the question beforehand that we've already had, as far as like who was destined to win. I guess it really means that they're not necessarily underdogs. It's just the feelings of the players throughout the years, as far as thinking that there was supposed to be a top-notch ruler or like a designated winner. So I guess that would kind of answer that question there. So let's move on. Okay, question number 13. Iria and Dillard, did they used to know each other, considering their battle dialogue? Well, to give a little bit of a better description to that, is that when they meet each other in battle, as soon as they meet each other in the battle, there's a little battle dialogue that goes along, and they both really don't say anything to each other, but they just kind of look at each other.
So moving on to 13. Its answer is that event shows that Iria and Dillard are both mute.
Okay. All right. Escalio is a fan favorite. Does the tyrant love Iria? Is Drist unable to appropriately express his feelings?
Iscariot is a fan favorite. Does the tyrant love Iria? Is Drist unable to properly express his feelings? This is the question. Answer is Iscariot is a popular among Japanese players. I know it is not interesting for me to talk about Drist's feeling, so please enjoy imagining them.
Okay, number 15. Sophia has a quest. She goes with her friend to meet their mentor Solon, a real Greek historian person. If you remake Grand Edition, would you fully complete these side quests? Americans want the whole story, please.
He is the mentor of Philo and Sophie. He is a wise man who lives hidden deep in the mountains. If there is an opportunity to remake it, I would like to make a quest in which he appears.
All right, number 16. There are elves you can gain through questing. I believe the end boss was an elf also. Was he an elf? Was Bullnoil an elf?
There are elves that can be obtained through quests. I believe the final boss is also elf. Was he an elf? Bullnoil. So the question 16 is answer is not there.
All right, number 17. Norgard, their lord, gets married. In a second timeline, he marries Leoness. Does he marry her for love or for conquest?
Question 17. Answer is also not there. Norgard, their lord marries. In the second timeline, he marries Leonise. Will he marry her for love or for quest? Conquests.
All right, number 18. The final boss is 300 years old. Bullnoil. Does that mean that he was a magician under the first Holy King, or was he an adversary?
Yeah. So there are a lot of questions which their answer is not there. So this is happening, and same applies on 18, 19. 18 is the last boss is 300 years old. Bullnoil. Does that mean he was a sorcerer under the first Holy King, or is he antagonist? Same, the answer is not there for 18th. 19th, this evil sorcerer has 2 silver heads on his shoulder pad armor. Who were they? Bullnoil. This has an answer. Luckily, I have been pondering the identity of Bullnoil, but there's nothing I can tell you about Bullnoil. Just imagine it and enjoy.
All right, number 20. The King of Caerleon has a sister. Does she come back from her journey at the end of the game and marry her ex-brother, who is not legally her brother?
So now, question 20. The King of Caerleon has a sister. Will she return from her journey at the end of the game and marry her brother, who wasn't legitimately her brother? I know this is another uninteresting thing for me to tell you about the character's feelings. So just imagine and enjoy.
All right, number 21. It's been my dream and many more to play the game Brigandine Grand Edition number 2. How many years will I live until I see a sequel?
Question number 21. Playing the game Brigandine Land Edition number 2 is my dream, and so much more. How many years will I have to wait until I see the sequel? Lol. Answer is, I would also like to make a sequel or new work for Brigandine. Thank you. I'm glad you said that. I'm also very disappointed that Brigandine GE is not playable on the latest hardware. I'm hoping that PS4 or PS5 will support the archives, but I am also hoping for a remastered port or remake because I have a lot of feelings for this game.
All right, question number 22. Cortina the Dancer. Was she the poster child for Eliza in a newer game?
Cortina the Dancer. Was she the poster child for the new game Eliza? Answer is, I have no affiliation with Runersia at all. That's it.
All right, question number 23. Are you proud of your Brigandine creation? Personally, for me, this is my favorite game.
Yeah. So Question 23. Are you proud of your Brigandine creation? Personally, for me, this is my favorite game ever. Answer. Thank you. I'm so happy. I have developed many original games and applications, but Brigandine Grand Edition is the one I have worked hardest on and I'm still proud of. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Harshita. And that was pretty good. That was pretty awesome. Haven't been able to ask those questions in a long time, and it's a long time in the making there. Okay, thank you everybody for watching all the way through. It was absolute enjoyment to be able to do this kind of interview with Kawade Yoichi. I'm getting better at saying people's names. I know I am. And thank you so much, Harshita Katiyar, for doing the translations as well. That really helped me a lot for this, because I've tried to do some translation myself and they were a little rough. So I'm going to go ahead and just say here's the extra bonus content here. I hope everybody enjoyed the video, but there's a little more to the interview than than there are as far as questions are. I decided to talk to Kawade Yoichi a little bit more, and there's a few extra things that we did discuss and we did talk about. So here's one thing. I want to go over some of the questions here before we get into that, just to kind of like answer a few things, make it a little more clear for those on the English speaking side, because that could help. So number 2 was something that was a little difficult to translate. I don't know why it was for the translation that I put in here. But number 2, is there a name for King Arthur's knights other than Dinadan? That's not what I put in there. That's not what I put in there. Were there other knights like Dinadan in the Arthurian legends? That's what I was trying to basically say. And so what's translated here is Reims, originally from Lancelot, or, Lance. I think that's what that's supposed to be. Kai, originally from Sir Kay, which is just blows my mind, because I was like, what does Kai have to do? What does Kai have to do with this game? Because yes, there's Sir Kay, but there's Kai, and then I looked into it, and there's actually... It sort of gets translated as Kai in some languages, I think from possibly an early Gaelic-speaking language that would have been Sir Kay, one of the Knights of the Round Table. Okay. Kiruf, or Kiluf, or I think Kiluf, Gerento, Palmides, Irvine, our legendary Knights of King Arthur. We did discuss this. I think Harshita did a little better translation in some parts here than I did. But the one thing that actually blew my mind was that Kai is Sir Kay. So look up Sir Kay from the Arthurian Knights of the Round Table, and that's the guy. That's who it was portrayed upon. I never knew that before. Other main knights such as Lioness, Vinard, Drist, Paternus, Enid, and Maltorfus are named after the legend of King Arthur. I don't know anything about Drist. I haven't heard anything about him. Paternus almost sounds like I've heard that before. Maybe Enid, Maltorfus. I think I've heard of that. I have a book over here of all the different tales of King Arthur, so I'll have to look at that again. One of the other questions was about the monk, and it was really just trying to determine why did they change it from being able to do an attack that could paralyze to an attack that just kicks them away. So that was the other confusing question that we had to go over a few different times. The other one was, and he eventually just said, he just wanted to kick it away so it could just like push back a hex and just be a little more safe, I guess, Okay, so that was kind of the thing for that. Solon here. The question didn't seem to be translated correctly, is what he told me. And he said it's the master of Philo and Sophie, which I do know that. A wise man who lives in hiding in the mountains. If I had a chance to remake it, I would like to make a quest that will appear. So it sounds like he's saying he would like to make the quest reappear. I think this is what he's trying to say. Some of the translations I sent him, didn't turn out perfectly. That's why I got a translator help me out with that. But then I told him, I said, you understand a little English? And he's like, yeah, I could use, something to help me. So what I ended up saying to him a little bit, I'll tell you a little bit of stuff that we actually talked about. I said, I'm sure you know what the hidden meaning behind Vinard's weapon Caladbolg is. It's a word used in the Gaelic language for Excalibur. And he said, yes, I know. So Caladbolg, I believe from the story, could actually portray the sword that was in the stone, or could portray the Excalibur sword that King Arthur used. And he said, yes, I know. So that's actually a part of a little bit of the hidden lore to the game. I always thought it was a good idea. He says, I believe that many game creators, not just me, think about many things and worry and have fun while naming their games. I said, I always liked that you put so many little hidden facts into the game that people would have to use a dictionary to find out more. And he says, thank you. So I was like, yes, cool. The next thing I say is the question about Solon is interesting because I like using Philo and Sophia in Lyonesse, and it seems very likely that they would go on another quest to meet the man and further the side story. Considering the fact that Solon is a wise man, I wanted to know what they gained by having that relationship. And he says, that's right, I think the fun is that you don't know everything in a game. And it's like, okay. Okay, so what he ended up saying after that, he said, I met Solon's fan for the first time. Solon is not a character I came up with, but I'm still friends with my old teammates, so I will tell them next time. I said, please do. He says. So we go into some more stuff. We talk about sequels and stuff. He says there's so many idea. He says there are so many ideas for sequels. I think of many ways to create a latter or earlier time period. Interesting. Okay. So I start talking to him about Bolnoil. And I said I basically tell him what I think about Bolnoil. And he tells me I'd be happy to if you could think a lot about Bolnoil. He's basically trying to see what I think about Bolnoil. So I said, the thing is, Bolnoil lived for 300 years and has an immortal life. And an immortal life is sad and lonely. So what better way to die than to take away all life with himself? I think all those immortal years made him bitter because of what he has done. And then he says, it's going to be hard to stay sane for 300 years. Absolutely. Like, he's on, like, we both agree on this. We both think the same way. It's pretty cool. And then what else here? Yeah, it would be hard to keep sane for 300 years. And he says, thank you, I'm glad you said that. And then later on, I start talking about the Highlander series, because just brought that up there. And he says, Highlander 1986 is his favorite movie. We started talking about some stuff that actually really was pretty cool. Really nothing that I can really tell you as far as like story is concerned here, but it's pretty interesting. I try to understand like what is the difference with the runes, and he said there's no relationship between experience and runes, because somebody told me about that too. Like if you have an experience in that, and either I don't know, like I've heard this before, and maybe he forgot, or maybe there just is no relationship between the runes. Maybe it's just you have a rune to your name and that's what you get. And that's about it. So I ended up telling him that I actually broke I translated that background that was that's behind the stat scene when you go into your organization there, and I said, "Do you remember the gray tablet with the runic message written? That was the background behind the troop organization window." And he says, "I remember." So I tell him what it is. If you want to know what I've translated this to, go and check out brigandine.engine, and you can go find the post in the Brigandine general section. It's there. And so I translated it, and I put my explanation there and all that. And later on he said, "It's not fun to reveal everything." So I think I figured it out. And he says, I think that what is mysterious and unknowable is also interesting. So it's good to have, an idea and just kind of speculate and have fun with that.
Brigandine, the Battle of Runersia. This is something else, I think. This is the opening or ending of your interview, I think. Brigandine, the Battle of Runersia 1-year anniversary. This is the opening, right? I think.
He's talking about the opening to the game, I
believe. Yeah, because which you have sent me in the chat, this is there. After I'm hoping the PS4 and which I was telling you, after this is written. Brigandine, the Battle of Runersia 1-year anniversary. I remember how surprised I was when I saw myself at the end of the staff role. Mr. Happinett, I'm waiting for your offer for both the GE remake and the new one. I think this is not the answer. This is something comes in the beginning of the interview or at the last of the interview, at the ending, I think, because this is not an answer probably.
He's alluding to the developers of the new game, that their developing team title is called Happinett. So I think he's kind of saying, well, if Happinett allows the idea for a remake of GE, I think that's what that's about right there. So I talked to him about multiplayer. He hasn't played in a while. If you got a chance to play with me or play with us on the multiplayer that we actually host here, that'd be cool. But that's pretty much it. And that's just the extra little bonus that I can give you. And I hope everybody enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down below. I'm pretty ecstatic. I'm pretty happy to be able to do this. It feels like I've wanted to do something like this for a long time. I wanted to talk to, the person that was in charge of this and have a really good understanding as to, what happened, the story. Is there going to be more to it? All these different kinds of questions. I have so many questions, and I still have more, but I just figured I was going to do like a 20 question thing and, let everybody see it. And, if you have questions, please put it in the comments down below. If we get to do more of this, then I could probably bring up those questions as well. But thank you so much for watching through this whole series here. This is 2 parts here for an interview. And, Kawade Yoichi, if you're watching this, thank you so much for coming up with this idea and bringing this out to everybody, because a lot of people love this game, and a lot of people, especially in America, a lot of Americans do really enjoy the game. And as soon as people start playing the multiplayer version and playing the regular version, because it's something that it just had, when it came out, there was almost nothing else like it. I mean, there were a few games that were close, but this really like opened up avenues as far as like where you could go and what you could do on a battlefield in a map. It gave a lot of people a lot of freedom as far as like how they wanted to play the game. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video. Everybody, something like that, help the channel grow. We'll talk about this game a little bit more. We'll make some more videos and all that. And I will see everybody later. Have a good day or good night. Take care. And I'll see you in the next Brigandine video. All right, everybody.
We are victorious, sire!